grand and glorious morning, everybody. Welcome to the Arcturus channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Amazing Digital Circus. The Amazing Digital Circus currently is a pilot for a show made by Gooseworks and produced by Glitch Animations as well as Kevin Tenmertoons. I hope I said that right. As someone with a very deep-fried art brain that can't help but point out little things everywhere, I wanted to talk a little bit about some design choices that I noticed and I thought were interesting, so let's get right into it. First, I want to talk about Jax. He's a very interesting character design with a few different features like, for example, his mouth. Yes, I want to talk about his mouth. I want you guys to notice whenever he speaks, his teeth don't move up and down.
We've been stuck here for years. Old Kinger over there's supposedly been here the longest. That's why he's crazy.
Normally, you would think, okay, that's just a cool design choice, which is what I thought until I saw this clip in the trailer. When Zooble chokes him, his mouth opens entirely, showing his pointed teeth, the inside of his mouth, and his tongue, which means that he does have them, and is presumably just choosing to speak through his teeth all the time. Maybe this is just a visual gag and not meant to be taken super seriously. Maybe it's a conscious design choice to help emphasize how much of a jerk he is, as he constantly lies through his teeth.
Do you think pairing them up together is a good idea?
Of course I do. They're the two most mentally stable and capable characters to be paired together.
I hope that makes sense. Or maybe it was a complete afterthought. If Gooseworks or Kevin Tenmertoons sees this video, could you pretty please explain that in the comments? It's been driving me crazy for a week and I need an answer, please. Yeah, so besides that, I wouldn't really be doing my due diligence if I didn't mention that he's clearly inspired by some classic Rubber Hose characters, as is most of the show's actual animation style. He reminds me a little bit of Goofy and Boris, you know, being a tall, lanky animal character wearing overalls. But I digress. I also really like his soft, slightly muted color palette. The darker maroon with the soft yet vibrant purple works really well to separate him from the multicolored, bright, poppy background.
Whatever you say, kid.
And until the full show gets greenlit, that's really all I have to say about him, so let's move on to Kane. Now, Kane is a very interesting character in that his design left me with a lot of questions, lore-wise and art-wise. And quick constructive criticism. Please don't hurt me. This is just a suggestion based off of something I noticed, but here we go. It seems to me that Kane's teeth, which act as his head and mouth, also serve as eyebrows occasionally. It's a really cool and creative way to fully utilize the design choice, and I commend them for thinking that up. But sometimes when Kane is talking, it's hard to discern if there is eyebrow movement along with the talking, or if his mouth is just moving a bunch. This really is not an issue, and it has no actual bearing on the show. But it's just such a creative idea that I really want to see it utilized well. Not that it already isn't, but yeah, that's just something I noticed about that. Moving on. Yeah, so I also have a few questions on what Kane actually is, because his features are floating disconnected from his body, and that's unlike any other character. So is Kane the body, the teeth, the head, the eyes, or is he just a physical construct that he puppets, you know, like that? Something that specifically piques my interest, besides his entire design infatuating my brain for the past week, here he says that he has thousands of all-seeing eyes that he can move around, just like he does with the eyes in his teeth. So my question is, are those eyes a part of his construct, or did he give himself those eyes so he could see directly in front of him? Because he can move them around just like his other eyes. I don't really know. I think it's a really cool design choice, and I like how his design actually makes me think about the choices instead of just looking at it and being like, that's unmemorable and not really that cool. Looking at you, Disney. Please don't sue me. Anyways, next up is Pomni. She's pretty much perfect. I have no thoughts. 10 out of 10. Actually, wait, no. Her eyelashes make me mad. Sometimes she has bottom eyelashes, sometimes she doesn't, and it confuses me to no end. I don't know why I just talked like Scott the Woz for a second there, but it was kind of cool, so we're keeping it in. Alrighty then. Before we go, I would also like to talk really quickly about some few other tidbits not relating to specifically the art style of the show. I want to talk about the theme of the show, and the final scene with Pomni going crazy that you've seen a bajillion memes of at the end. Spoilers, I guess, I don't know. So, the theme itself is, in my opinion, an absolute banger. I've been listening to it a lot, and I think it has multiple layers to it. Obviously, it fits the style and the location of the show incredibly well. The pilot is based off of those old 90s PC games, and this definitely fits in right along with them. It also feels like a celebration of the whole thing finally coming together, and it's this big arrangement that exudes happiness, celebration, and contentness. It feels like it's actually here in a proud kind of way. Just take a listen. That is some good stuff. And to close out this little think piece, I want to briefly touch on that closing scene with Pomni at the dinner table. Throughout this episode, when Pomni really starts to get in her head and kind of go a little, just a smidge insane, it's reflected in her iris, which changes from the normal big pinwheel dots to scribbly blobs, but she normally represses it by rationalization or some other means. During this scene, when the music swells from this tiny little dinky, in the right kind of way, piano into this huge orchestral arrangement of the main theme, and everyone around her just continues eating and talking like normal, but as reflected in the lack of audible dialogue, it seems like she's tuning it out, because she's finally realizing exactly what her situation is. And the best part? Her iris doesn't flicker or change at all. She's completely aware of what's happening, and she's fully processing everything, and when that sinks in, she gives this forced pain smile, and I love it so much. In themes, music, and animation, this scene is practically perfect, and a definitely perfect close out to the pilot. I'm going to be straightforward here. There are not a lot of shows that would have the opportunity to get as crazy and original, yes, I mean original, with its design choices because of issues like marketability, big suits getting scared, and stuff like that. But Glitch has provided a platform for this wonderful, wacky world where anything can happen. A platform to have fully realized shows and ideas and stories, and I think that's something very special. I gotta give a major props to Gooseworks, who, I'm gonna be honest, I had never heard of before of this, so that just goes to show how big of a deal this has gotta be. Congratulations on a successful pilot, I guess. Congrats to this Doodleo. Why did I write it like that? I can tell he had a lot of fun working on this, and most of all, huge props to Glitch for, like I said, providing a space for these creators' unique ideas to be fleshed out and heard without having to change or censor anything for their vision. These are things like I said, fear of profitability or stuff like that. I currently don't plan on going into animation or show running, producing myself. No. It seems like a massive headache, but as an artist myself, to see things like this happen does not only make me excited for the state of indie animation, but it also gives me hope to think that maybe one day, if it ever comes to it, I would get to share my own wacky, goofy, slightly unhinged ideas with the world. But that's neither here nor there. Please go support the show by watching the pilot, and if you have the finances, they actually have some pretty cool merch as well. If you're a returning viewer of my channel, you would know that I don't usually ask for subscribers, but I'm gonna be honest, I really want to buy the Jack shirt, so I'm gonna leave it up to you. Thank you guys for watching. Have a grand and glorious rest of your day.